Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to a special one-off Under Pressure for, and it's great to say, a Champions League final. We're going to do a statistical preview and tactical of the opposition Real Madrid. We welcome Mr. Phil Barter. How are you, sir?
Oh, not bad, mate. You good? Getting a bit nervous now, I suppose, but that's how it is.
Oh, the butterflies are kicking in. I bet lots of the listeners, the butterflies are kicking in. You go through all sorts of permutations in your head, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Dreaming.
Definitely. You're like grabbing all the news, and I was watching Carragher the other day at the AXA, and watching Fab train, and you think, yeah, okay, how's it going to work, and the rest of it. So yeah, that's what it's about, right? That's what top level football should be about.
Oh, this is what all season's been for, innit? Games like this. The last two games, and this is the bigger. So let's start with. I think we should start with how we think, or how you think Real Madrid are likely to set up, one formation wise, and then we'll come on to the lineups.
No worries. So those who follow the UP chat are normally posting a look back at the last 5 games on average for the next opposition and write a bit of report and chuck the reports in there, which I'll still chuck the reports in the chat so people aren't going to miss out on that. But with Real Madrid having won the league, the last 5 league games haven't really been a great deal to go by. So what I did is I've run 2 reports, one on the last 5 games and one on every single Champions League knockout game. So from that, it shows you patterns, if you like. So they typically do still use a 4-3-3. I think we know that. In the league, 73% of the time. In the Champions League, 58% of the time. Okay. The difference is in the league, their next formation they would use to change the game up would be 4-2-3-1. Whereas in the Champions League, they drop the wingers into form a 4-1-4-1. Yeah, which is kind of still 4-3-3, but that's what the differences are. And the patterns are still the same. I mean, in terms of XG, they have curated in the Champions League from that formation 10.7 XG and conceded 8.68 in those 8 knockout games. In 43, if they go to the other formation, they've only curated 1.8 and they've conceded nearly 4 XG. So, if you combine that all up, they've scored 14 and conceded 9 from 9.5 XG and 12.7 XGA. So they overperform at both ends, no matter what formation they use in the Champions League. So I think that gives you the other key things to note about the Champions League versus the league. The pass completion is pretty much around mid-80s, no matter which competition. But in the league, they generally have approaching 60% possession on average. Whereas in the Champions League, they're happy to concede possession and they average around 45%. Their long ball rate in the Champions League is 8%, whereas in the league, it's nearly 10%. And that's a 2%, but that could be a couple more balls here and there. So, yeah, I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of the setup that they probably will go for against us.
Yeah, so we're assuming that they're going to go with the 4-3-3.
Yeah, I think they might start in the 4-1-4-1 to try and to drop the wing, because effectively it's the same system, right? It's the same principles, but bearing in mind us in the Champions League, the first legs of all of our knockout games, we've gone out hard. Yeah, we've gone out to blitz. The Benfica away, the Villarreal. Even City, the FA Cup semi-final, we went out in the first 20 minutes with NTF and absolutely bossed that first 20 minutes. So the best way to go against that is to drop your wingers in and reduce that space in front of your fullbacks. to not allow us to do that. So they could do that. If they're being ultra attacking, they might just go, do you know what, we're playing 4-3-3 and we'll deal with it. But I think they might start a little bit defensive and then look to spring on the counter and invite us out. Because if you drop the wingers in, Trent's going to be invited to come forward, which then would leave spacing behind for Vinny particularly to sprint into.
So what you say that the personnel slightly different for the knockout than it is for the league. Who do you think is? I think midfield's quite a key.
Yes, for sure. In the league, Modric hasn't been playing, whereas in the Champions League, it's been Modric, Casemiro, and Valverde. With Cruz is coming in for Valverde a little bit. So I think it'll be the old guard, if you like. So Modric, Casemiro, and Cruz in the midfield three. The rest of the back four, back five, including the keeper, if you like, is exactly the same. They've played now. Alba's fit, isn't he? So he'll play left side centre half. They'll play Mendy at left back, Carvalho at right back, and I forgot Milito. If he's fit, I think he is. Will play the right side centre half. And then Vinny will play left wing, if you like, or left forward, whatever you called it, and Benzema up top. The right side player seems to be a bit of a, I don't want to say whimsical choice because, the old Italian master doesn't make such notions. He will have a reason for it. But he has played Asensio there, for example. He's played Valverde there. He's played Modric out there. Do you know what I mean? It seems to be a bit. He's even played. Is it Rodrigo? Rodrigo. So, in the Champions League, has got Rodrigo playing that position more than anybody else on the report. But I know recently in the last two games, he's the one that's come off the bench, isn't he? I think so. It'll be that right side is probably the only one where there's probably a slight debate about it. But I think the middle three, he'll go with the old guard.
And we can assume that neither Bale nor Hazard's going to start.
There's no evidence of that. I mean, they're both fit, right? They were doing photos apparently yesterday, and Bale was out posturing. I think one of the commentators said he wasn't actually training that efficiently, but he doesn't figure in any of the games. He doesn't even figure in the last 5 games in terms of the league either, when they've been rotating players, like in any sort of meaningful minutes, put it that way. Hazard does a little bit. He's come on a couple of sub appearances, but I don't think either of them start now.
And let's kind of mixing it in both in defensively, but also just looking at some of their results in the knockout stage, particularly the last 3. They've had some really poor XG difference results in those games. Away at PSG, I've got over -2 XG difference against Chelsea. At the Bernabeu, nearly -2 XG difference, and then obviously against Man City, -1. So they do tend to concede more shots and more XG than their opponents, don't they? Obviously, the quality of the opponents is high, but why is that? And what can we exploit apart from that defensive setup?
In terms of what we can do, so I think they generally overperform defensively. They should concede a lot more, considering what they're giving away, should we say? So the defensive process, I don't think is great. In terms of
performance, Phil, or is it the other team's missing chances?
It's a good shout.
The City game, they seem to have big chances, and we're missing them rather than Real Madrid.
But then I think that's still fair to say that their system's not working if you're giving the opportunity to the opposite. So, you might be right there. It might be the Oppo missing the chance, but what I'm saying is their system as a defensive unit has some issues in it. If you look at what they do defensively, they have a big issue, I would say, in the right centre back, right back area. I think I've written here, they give up aerially. They lose. This is the most area on the pitch they lose. So, and they lose ground duels in that area as well. So ground duels leading to shots is a pretty bad stat to have as going against you. In that area, they lose 42% that lead to a shot. So when they lose a duel, they don't recover it enough to avoid having a shot. So at 42% of the time, they lose a duel and it leads to a shot. Versus the left side, which is down at 20%. So Mendy's doing a lot better as the left back with support from Alba. So that is an area to work on. Interestingly, if you look at aerially defensively, in the league, they are supremely good at defending their penalty box. Like their percentage loss in that is, I think, 13% or something like that. Whereas in the Champions League, it's round the other way around. They lose a lot in the penalty box and not a lot in the rest of the defensive third and defensive third. So, 58% of aerial duels in the penalty spot they've lost.
So, So you think the combination of Robbo, whoever's playing the left 8, fingers crossed, Thiago, and then Mane as being the main man, do you think that's where we can exploit them the best?
I think so. To that space, if you like. When you look at the reports in the chat, when I put them in, not in this one, the other one, the sort of, if you look at the 18-yard box as a rectangle, if you like, the top right corner, if you're looking at it from the goal, if Trent can put the ball into that area, that is where they seem to lose the majority of the aerial duels. So the delivery from Trent is key, but equally, as you say, ground duels wise, if Diaz can attack Carvajal at will, which he normally does with Robbo on the overlap, we could have some joy. The problem is, as we know, Diaz isn't the strongest in terms of finishing. So he might have all the opportunity in the world, but it's can he find the finishing touch on the day or make that decision to roll it across the 6-yard box where hopefully Mane or Mo, I'm guessing probably the two going to play, are going to be there to tap it in.
And they're not a particularly tall defence, are they?
No, they're not, which is probably why but then Alba's back, isn't he? And he is tall. So
who's that?
Alaba. Is it Alaba?
Isn't he 5'11"? I thought he was 5'11". I was looking at something earlier that he's quite small in terms of centre backs.
I thought his aerial rim weight was pretty good though, but yeah.
It might be. And obviously, in isolation, individuals who are 6 foot and slightly under can have it. But in general, the smaller the centre backs, the less they win in terms. I think it's 5'11" and Militao 6'1". But either way, is the fact that we might be going down that our left hand side likely to bring more into the game from the other side, so he could have the space because they could be moving over?
It's definitely
on the back post.
Do you remember in the Chelsea game, Chelsea FA Cup final, they ended up having to pull James back from being a wing back to more of almost an orthodox fullback, and also their right 8 on the day, Kovacic ended up having to back up as well, didn't he? So there was a very condensed area around Diaz because Diaz was having a field day against their player. So I can't remember, Shalaba, wasn't it? I think, was that right?
Yeah.
So you could see an instance there. Rhodes play back 4, so that means the ability to isolate the fullback will be even more because they're not. Shalaba's in a 3 more central, so isolating someone in there, pulling them out is difficult. But so you could see a situation where their right 8, which if it's Modric, would have to come back and help, or Casemiro gets pulled over, which means the area in zone 14 we talk about to exploit and we pass through as a 25% more chance of scoring if you go through that area, as we saw at Saints, then they could open up areas. And like you said, if they go to the extreme measures, which you shouldn't do, the rest of the defence shuffles over, then Mo could be left 1v1 with Mendy.
And as we've seen, Mo's had a lot of double and often triple teaming against him. But if they do that, then we're just going to have a field day on the left-hand side with Diaz and Mane, aren't we? So they've got to strike a balance. And Modric isn't the most mobile compared to a Kovacic, is he? No,
and that's why I say that I think the old guard will start, right? But Valverde is a younger player, right? So potentially they could swap that round. Valverde could play the right side and Modric comes on. Do you know what I mean? That selection, because again, Ancelotti isn't stupid. He would have looked at it and gone, right, yeah, I know what's going to happen here. So how do we mitigate for that? And he might just say, we've got better quality. We could deal with it. We've dealt with it all season, and he'll back his players to deal with it. Yeah. And that's where the 4-1-4 could come into more, because you reduce the space which Diaz can operate. So that could be key. But I do think that they will have to double up on Diaz at some point in time. And then where they pull that double up from, we need to have the players available to use that space in the most effective manner.
Yeah. So we've got open play defensively. This is I think it's going to be a huge key factor. How are they doing defensively from set plays, so corners and free kicks? Because we know how successful we've been this season. You've done unbelievably detailed research into it. Can we exploit them, and how is going to be best to do that?
Exploiting them again, because they have a lack of ability seemingly to defend the ball aerially in the 18-yard box, the penalty box, and particularly around from the right flank, the front zone, front zone, should we say, not the front post, but the front zone just in front of there, just before the penalty spot. They've lost 75% duels there in Champions League. So delivery at that area. So at Saints, I said we targeted areas either side of the penalty spot. So don't hit the penalty spot. Either go back of the mid zone, or front of the mid zone. That is going to be critical there. So for the right delivery, it'll be front mid zone, and from the left delivery, it'll be back mid zone. And if we get it into that channel, there is a chance that our knockdown play will be brilliant, because then if it's down on the floor, we already know their ground duels in the right side is poor. Yeah. So we win it in the left side and knock it into the right side zone and pick up the pieces. We should, I would suspect, be able to create chances from that if we don't have an opportunity from the first phase. So And in that first phase, who do you think our players attacking those zones are going to be? Is it going to be Matip the front and then Van Dijk but the other side of the penalty spot? Potentially, yeah.
Or Canate, obviously, whichever one that is.
Whichever one that is, and also this is also key with Fab. Yeah, because Fab has started to join in with attacking set plays, and Hendo doesn't, right? So if Fab is playing the 6, you've got 3 that are very good in the air. I know we joke that Matip's got a bit of a 50p head, etc., but generally he's going to win the ball. And all we're looking for here is him to win the first phase ball. If he puts it on target, brilliant. If he knocks it down into space, which is generally what we have done, particularly without swinging corners, then we should. I think we should be able to create some XG from that.
Do you think we're going to go Robbo outswing and Trent outswing? So both out.
Yeah, I think I've said that in my thing. I think so. I think we might mix it up. This is it though, and this minute detail is whoever partners BVD, I think matters. Yeah,
right.
Because if it's Canate, he has already proven he's better at heading on goal than the other centre halves. So if Canate is playing, I think you might see some in-swinging corners. Right. Because then Canate's just going to come in and power it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's Matip, you might see more out-swinging corners because we play off the second phase.
The flick on a knockdown, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I think, but as we have done, I mean, what was it? Saints, we were in-swinging. Wolves, I have to admit, I was too engrossed in worrying about what's going on City to actually know, and I can't remember. But we do mix it up game on game, so it'll be interesting to see. But I think if Canate is on, I think there's a very big rationale for in swinging that ball, as I said, into the back mid zone or front mid zone, depending on whether it's right or left, and seeing him run onto it basically and put it in.
Yeah. So go on, mate.
I was just going to say that they're recovering. So. Because you can look at their recoveries in final third. And I was looking at this because they're not really known for being a pressing side, right? But so they've got of 91 recoveries over 8 games, which isn't a lot, right? It's not. But 20 recoveries have led to shots. So that's a 21% success rate. Now, I can't remember off the top of our head whether that's comparable with us. But
that's excellent.
That's not bad, right? And they've created 2 XG from that. Right. So I'm not saying they press a lot because they clearly don't. 91 over 8 games, we'd be sitting there. That would be in the really cold zone for us, right, on Papa.
Yeah.
Right, but when they do, they create nearly 0.1 xg per successful press, which that's not, if you think about that could, if they suddenly decided to do a half an hour of high pressing, which generally they high press the left wing Vinny, so they'd be pressing Trent's area, Matic Canate's area channel, where our right 8, depending on who plays, will be there, Naby, hopefully Hendo, maybe. They could get some very high value wins. So that's just something to be aware of.
Well, not good link, Phil, because now we've spoke about their weaknesses, but let's come on to how they could potentially exploit our weaknesses, and I think the strength in their game is their attacking. And how are they going to set up to attack us? Are they going to sit back, like you said, and try and hit us on the break, a bit like Wolves did, or are they going to? Have they got a bit more to it about their build-up than that?
Again, I think this is where the contrast between League and Champions League is key. So in the League, they would be possession-based side. In the Champions League, I think if you give up nearly 60% possession, you're a counter-attacking team. Right. So I would suggest that's where I think they might sit in a little bit and play and they'll do it with more quality because they've got Kroos, Modric, even Casemiro can basketball. The three of them are very good footballers. I'm not saying the Wolves players or the Tottenham players or the City players that have done it against us aren't, but in terms of hitting Vinny early and whoever plays the right hand side, I wouldn't want to take a guess, or even into Benzema. Those three areas to target it will be a tactic I would perceive. Now, whether they start with deep and go for it or drop off, that'll be down to the day. I think I suspect they will drop off and try and soak up our 20-30 minute blast at the beginning and hit the areas that I've said. Benzema won't drop in; he'll stay up, so he'll always occupy centre half. He won't press them.
Which side do you reckon he'll drop onto? Trent's side, like Matic?
Yeah, because it's well known playing European football. That's our area, right? Even with Naby playing there, he still plays higher, right? So our progressive right 8, his starting position is higher. So he will sit in that pocket. They'll still try and split, though. As I said in the Wolves game, they won't stay together. So Vinny will probably hug touchline and Benzema will just be in that half space. So they're not going to be together, but they'll be in roughly the same vicinity. And the ball will go, I would imagine, go into that from Kroos. Long ball rate, as I said in Champions League game, is up by 2%. So there's some chances in that. Attacking wise, though, if you want to look at what they do with the ball once they've got possession in our final third, I thought what was interesting was their crossing. So from the right, they have a 46% success rate, and from the left, 55%. Okay, they create just over 2 XGA. XA, and 2.2 XG. All right, so that's about 0.2 per game on each of those. 3 goals in total. And the difference in delivery is quite interesting. So, it's interesting for me. Vinny does. I'm doing a disservice because I can't pronounce his name. Victus Junior. For those who don't know who Vinny is. Yeah. He is an aerial crosser. Okay, so he will look to aerially deliver the ball in and around the traditional PK spot, drift into the back zone, if you like. Yeah. Whereas from the right, they will do more of a ground duel, a ground cross. And it will be a flat ball into PK area again, but it's more of a flat ball. And even if they get to byline, they will ground pass it back to the D.
The cutback.
The cutback, yeah. But there's a lot more, it's more of a 2-to-1 ratio on the right from aerial to ground. Whereas on the left, they've only done two ground passes, I think, or 2 or 3 in all the games. So it shows you they're more dominant in terms of aerial passing.
That's their left.
Their left. Our right. So Trent's side, the ball's coming in aerially, which is fine because we've got BBD to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yep. The right side is coming in ground to Robbo's side. They'll be attacking that and they'll mix it up, but they will look to do ground-based crossing, pulls across, which actually has caused us a few issues. If you look at the Benfica away goal, for example, I know Canate it was an error. That was a goal. If you look at away at Villarreal, both goals came through a similar kind of ball. Yeah. from the left-hand chat. So from our left back area, the ground drawl in. So again, he would have identified that.
Who are going to be their runners then? Because if they're cutting it back and there's only Benzema there, so Vinicius is going to come in when they're doing it along
the right.
run it from the field as well.
And that'll be key in terms of the starting position. Just having a look where 10 is. No, that's too deep. It would be. It should be the right 8, but again, it would really depend on what their starting shape is. Because if they're starting deeper, there is no way Modric is getting up, 60 yards to come for a cutback. That's just not going to happen, right? If it's Valverde, maybe. Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Go on.
Go on, mate.
I was going to say, dribble-wise, again, what you'd expect, really. Vinny has a higher dribbling success rate. They dribble. They have a successful dribble, so 1.7 XG from dribbles. And to give you an idea of how important it is that we stop Junior, he has something like 1.3 XG of that 1.7 for the team from his side from successful dribbles. So
I saw that against City, didn't we?
He did. Superb, yeah. He was superb, and he's great. In terms of the other metric we look at for them is through balls. And unsurprisingly, because this kind of completes the picture, their left back has the highest zone area for through balls. So that would be looking to play Vinny in on a counter.
So we would need Trent and Mo and Nabe to stop that.
Then so Mendy is we playing about Alaba. Yeah. So and that's kind of his Bayern days as well in there. So that could be an interesting thing to work on, and why our choice at 9 will be key as well. So when the ball's down that side, and 9 will have to, they'll have to decide. They've got to deal with Casemiro, but equally they've got to stop or help Mo stop the through ball coming from the left back zone.
Yeah, top stuff, right? The other element of their attack will be their set plays, and although I'm confident in our ability to defend them, have they got any particular threats and trends?
So I'm confident we can defend these. I mean, this is famous last words now, isn't it? In terms of what they've done. So in 8 Champions League knockout games, they've created just over 1 XG, no goals from corners.
Wow.
Okay, and from free kicks, half an XG in 8 games and no goals. So the delivery areas, are fairly. If you've looked at these reports before, the corners predominantly they will in-swing it into the 6-yard box. That is their dominant area in the Champions League. All right, which is different from the league. They'll mix it up a bit more, or they'll play short. The only ones they pull it back to the edge of the D is from the left. So it's something to look at. In the league, they share it out between Modric and Kroos, right? Yeah. In the Champions League, Kroos takes 3/4 of all set piece deliveries.
Wow.
And he's right-footed, so the only left footer who's allowed, and I do say allowed, the number he's taken, to take any set pieces is Asensio. And he's created nothing, and that's he largely takes from the right. So that would be so they're going to go for an in-swinger. It'll be Asensio taking it from the right.
To me, that kind of gives us a big imperative to make sure when they do break that we block it and don't let the crosses come in or the cutbacks come in, and hopefully put it out for a corner or that kind of thing, because then we can just deal with that for easily.
Exactly. Yeah,
and they'll be committing players forward for the corner, and then we can hit them quickly.
Exactly.
With the ball.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think the VVD's one of Fabian's phrases is stop the cross. So we stop the cross in open play and let them have a corner, and we'll deal with it. The cutbacks, and this is where I would prefer, or I am hopeful that Fab plays, because Fab's ability to work laterally and shut down passing lanes and stop the cutback shot, if you like. So the Rodri goal against Villa, that would have happened, I would say, against Hendo. Against Fab, it doesn't, because Fab's better at moving sideways to block that lane. And that sounds really harsh, but we know Hendo has a bit of a mobility problem moving sideways. He's okay back and front, yeah, and he's not very good on the turn. And that's not a criticism of him. That's just how he is as a player. Fab is better at that. He's more mobile. So for those cutbacks, for me, Fab sitting in there would be the key area. Would be key. Or if we sometimes have Mo on the edge, and he's quite good at that as well. So we just have to be aware of that.
Should we just do a quick, brief look at what one you think or you would pick lineup wise, and then what you think we're going to go with? And let's assume that Thiago's fit enough to start. And Fab.
Okay. Right. And Fab. Yeah. Right.
Let's do an either or.
Okay. So back, this is really hard.
I'm going Konate.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair with you, Konate has played the majority of Champions League games.
Yeah.
Therefore, particularly in this game, although we will miss out on the progressive nature of Matip's play. Yeah, because Konate hasn't got that about him. He's more of a VVD distributor than he can pass on the ground, but he's not going to travel with it. So, but I think we have to counteract the ability that we just have to accept that at some point in time, Vinny is going to get in and pass Trent. You know, he can defend very, very well, and he has done. But there are going to be times, like in the FA Cup final, Alonso did get in a couple of times. So, yeah, I would say Konate goes with VVD. The others in the back five pick themselves. I don't think there's any question about that. For me, I think we've been building this load and planning for this game for a while to play Fabiago, NTF, whatever you want to call it. I think that was the plan. I think it's got slightly derailed by the fact that two of them have picked up little knocks. But if we are presuming they're both fit, that's the midfield for me. And then Diaz and Mo on the wings. And in current form, it's probably going to be Mane in the 9. Because actually in his last game, his receiving passing rate was good. His off-ball work was still good in terms of the pressing. So if he carries that form on, then he's perfect for the 9. If he tosses in a performance for his receiving rates around the 60s, then we've got a problem, you know. So, but then we've got changes on the bench. It's just that, as we've alluded to, I think Bobby's better starting, but I wouldn't start him. So because he took 10 minutes to warm up against Wolves, but when he did, he was brilliant, right? But he just took and we can't afford 10 minutes against Real Madrid. So is that dreamland?
Yeah. So, but more. Let's do now. Likely. So if Thiago's not fit, if Fabinho's not fit, I'm guessing we're going Henderson as a 6 and Naby as the 8.
Left 8.
Left 8. So who's going to be the right 8?
Next in, looking at all the data, as you know, I've blocked me for that. The next 3 people ain't going to like this. But I think Milner's got a knock, but it would be Milner, Hendo, Naby. With CJ being in the mix. If Thiago and Fab aren't playing, which means we'll give up more XGA, but we'll create still the same similar levels around just below 2 a game. XG,
yeah, you've done that as well. Yeah, it doesn't affect what we're creating, but we do concede more.
We do concede more. So, but then we mitigate that a little bit with deal with the outlet for them, which would be down that side. So, I personally think Fab will be fit.
We've got to assume that what we really need in this is we need one of Fabinho or Thiago to start.
Yeah. So therefore, then that goes to the most combination. No, the second most combined midfield choice, which is Hendo in the right 8, Thiago, Naby in the left 8, and Fab playing. And our XGA for that is actually pretty good. To be fair, it's just below 1. Which is good, which is what we need. And then it is around the same sort of figures going forward. I think it's just at the 2 mark. So that, and if I'm using my head here, unless Thiago is out there for training on Friday, today in the open training of the stadium, I suspect that's what we'll see.
Right, I agree.
And I think the rest of the team, Konate and Matip might be. I think he goes for Konate, I have to say, but I think the rest of it kind of picks itself.
Yeah, I like the progressive element of Matic. Again, what a wonderful choice to have. I think
I know
both have got incredible strengths.
as I posted out recently,
very few weaknesses. Yeah,
Matic might be the second best centre half in the league. You know, if you look at the stats for this season, he's been absolutely superb. And I don't know, VVD took 10, 11 games to get back up to form, and then he's regained his place as being the best defender in the world. But Matip's not far behind. And two of them form that bedrock, that turning the tide from us going from over one XG a game conceded to less. Was it finished up about 0.8? Did we in the end or something? Do you know what I mean? That XGA. So yeah, it would be incredibly harsh, but I think the tactical reasons you have to win the game.
Well, Kanate doesn't even know what losing's like either. So
no, he's played the whole season and not lost a game. But then you look at a lot of the squad that we've lost 2 games all season.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, it's crazy. I would like to say one thing I am slightly worried about, and this is being a bit pessimistic, but at the moment, if we're being really frank, Mane's the only one who's scoring freely.
Yeah.
Right. So if they actually mark him out of the game, I would, and Diaz and Mo do their usual, should we say? I just would be worried about scoring. Taking advantage of the chances.
I'm going to come back at you there. Whereas I think because they've been quite cold and wasteful in terms of the goals in recent, I think this is the game to turn around. Because Real Madrid have conceded so many chances and haven't got out.
Yeah.
And because we've got 2 cold attackers out the front 3, randomness, like with the more little random tapping against Wolves, something like that is likely to happen.
Yeah.
So what I'm concerned about, and this we'll finish on this because this could be a key factor and has been a huge factor in all Real Madrid's games. When we go 1-0 up, or if we go a goal ahead, what do we then do? Do we carry on with our system that got us the goal ahead, or do we switch to stop them doing that thing where they score a couple of goals in a short space of time?
I think we do. To be honest with you, I think it'll be the City game plan. So I think we'll go hard. That's a horrible, you know what I mean? I think we'll come out, fly out for the first 25, see what the score is, and then manage the game from that point. At City, what we were 2 up at that time? 2 up? 3 up?
We scored just on half time, didn't we?
Yeah, right. So I think we'll do that and then manage the game. If we're only 1 up, then we might sit for a bit, get in at half time and lead, and then come out again second, and then sit off.
On fresh subs to just freshen it up.
Yeah, because we've got 5 subs, right? I think we'll, and if we aren't ahead after that first 25, then it'll be a point. I think we'll see us shut the game down till half time, which is why the players we've chatted about being available is key for that, and then come out and redo it in the second half and play a 45-minute game basically. But no, I expect us. I really do think to come out fast start, a bit like the last Champions League final we're in against Spurs. We came out incredibly fast start, got a chance in the first minute or so, put it away, and then we shut the game down. But I'm not saying we'll do that, but we did come out incredibly fast. We were all over Spurs for the first little period of time. So I think in our biggest attacking performances this season, that might be a bit of a statement. City in that cup semi-final, we had an incredibly fast start, and I don't, Benfica away, another big start. Villarreal again, we were incredibly fast starters for that first 20 minutes, and I think that's our game plan.
Oh, Phil, we're going to win number 7.
It's that weird, isn't it? Butterflies. It was weird pre-looking at all of this. I was doing these reports, as you know, I was working on it over the last couple of days. I'm more confident now, having looked at the data.
Same. Having looked at your data, I'm more confident.
Yeah, I'm a lot more confident. And seeing Fab training has made me a lot more confident. A lot more confident.
I genuinely think, honestly, if one of Fabinho or Thiago starts, I think we win this quite comfortably.
Yeah, and I think you might also be right. Mo getting a little finish against Wolves, I think, might just inject it into him. I think Diaz will still be wasteful because I think he needs a pre-season to go through the process in terms of what to do with the ball for us in the final third. But Mo getting that little spark back could actually be key as well. So there's some.
We've seen about 30 Diaz shots where he cuts in off his left and tries to curl it into the top corner. So I'm hoping one of them's going to come off as well because we haven't seen.
Yeah, or he just plays the Thiago ball, rolls it through to the 9. It's got so many things to do there, but he's a brilliant player.
Tell me what I'm not confident about. Getting any sleep tonight. Bloody hell.
No. I mean, I've still got to work on the missus to watch the games.
Phil.
No worries.
Call Liverpool up the Reds, number 7, please.
Please.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.